Here's a real quick message from my friends at Bridgecom Systems. If you're a ham looking to get into DMR, you need to go check out their plug-and-play package, link in the description. It's a handheld DMR radio and digital hotspot combo that comes pre-programmed with all of your information so that all you have to do to get on the air is just turn it on and press the PTT button. You'll also get access to their beginner to expert courses about your DMR gear through Bridgecom University. Give them a call at 816-532-8451 to talk with their dedicated in-house radio advisors. They are happy to help you out. Thank you, Bridgecom, for supporting this channel. There we go, right there. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Ham Radio 2.0 Sunday night live stream. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to be talking about Node-RED setting up a dashboard to use at Field Day 2022, which is next weekend. Next weekend is Field Day. If you don't know what Field Day is, in a nutshell, just Google ARRL Field Day. You can read all about it. In a nutshell, Field Day is a time for amateurs to go out into the field for a 24-hour period. You can do it from your clubhouse. You can do it from your home. Traditionally, you go out in the field. You set up a radio station. You try to make as many contacts as you can with all the different sections throughout North America, USA, and Canada. And then you tally the points. You get extra points for doing this, that, and the other. We're going to be relying on Frank this year to make a satellite contact, so we're probably going to be screwed on that point. But I can see him laughing right now on the screen. But no. Field Day's a fun weekend, so hopefully you guys watched Charlie's stream last hour, and he did a lot of talking about what Field Day is and how that works and everything. So before we get started here, do remember that next Sunday, a week from tonight, after Field Day's finished, we will be doing our monthly giveaway. We're going to give away 3 brand new Rig Expert AA1500 antenna analyzers, and on top of that, Roger from RNL is going to donate 2 Nano VNA H4s. Those are the latest Nano VNAs, I believe. So I just shared the link in the chat. Frank shared it as well. Guys, go out there and sign up. And you just put your name, email, and call sign here. Sign up right there and be entered for a chance to win one of 5 antenna analyzers. So special thanks to both Gigaparts, Rig Expert, and RNL for their support in that regard. Quick blurb about my All-Star node. You guys see this Core Dumps 8 up here? So this is not Chris's fault, but I think what happened, Chris, 2E0UKH from the UK, connected to me sometime last night, and he had like 60 stations connected to him. And it was just all night long. I saw it earlier today, and I'm like, where's Core Dumps? A couple people have dropped out who I know have been there for a while. I don't know what's going on with that. So I kicked Chris off temporarily. He's welcome to join back if he wants to. But there was just a lot of activity. So I don't know what this Core Dump thing is. I reached out to Kyle and I said, hey, what is this? And he goes, well, those are actually kind of common, but let's look at your logs. So we're going to do that later. But I did reboot the node earlier, so if you were on it, you might have gotten kicked off. That was not by design. That was because I rebooted the node. 43136 is the node number. Everybody's welcome to connect back. It's working. I had a conversation with Arthur earlier on it, so it's sounding good. So let's kick off tonight's live stream that is all about the Node-RED dashboard. Now, Kyle's going to, if you don't know what Node-RED is, that's okay. Kyle's going to explain what Node-RED is. He's going to start out by doing that, and then we're going to talk about a script or a GitHub set of, it's a script, I think, that you can install on a Raspberry Pi to run, it's for a contesting dashboard that Kyle has on his GitHub, and I put the link to that in the description of the YouTube video. We'll share it here in the chat here as well, but it's in the description of the video now. You can download this, install on a Pi, and use it Field Day this weekend if you want to, or for any kind of contesting. So we're going to go through what all that is. So let me bring Frank and Kyle on here. There's that, and unmuted. What's up, guys? How are y'all?
Hello. Hello, can you hear me from the satellite? I'm trying to make a contact right now.
Yeah, I thought
AG5AHJ.
That's why I had my headset off. I didn't want to. I don't want to hear you laughing at me. So.
You know what? I do have an idea on try to improve my odds there. So we'll see if it pans out. But I'll give it a shot.
So you can't see it in the camera right now, but I've got a brand new Waxon Oshang radio from Better Safe Radio. Brand new, just came out.
I was eyeing that. I just haven't had the budget for it yet.
That video will premiere on my channel tomorrow, but I'm bringing that. I want to do some range testing, see how it sounds and everything.
Perfect.
Came in at just over 9 watts on both bands when I did the power testing on it last week. So I'm bringing that. You're welcome to use it as much as you want to for making satellite contacts, and
yes,
I've got a couple of ideas I want to talk to you about as well, but we'll get to that later. So, but yeah, so Kyle, thank you for joining us tonight. You do have and if you want to share the link, I haven't seen anybody share it yet, from to your GitHub page. Feel free to do that if you want to.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. But yeah, please go ahead. What's going on?
So, all right. So this one, we're going to talk about Node-RED for just a little bit, and then we're going to take a look at the contesting dashboard and show you what it looks like. And then at the end, we're going to configure a Raspberry Pi for Node-RED and configure the dashboard. So after you get done watching the stream, hopefully you're going to have a little bit of information about what Node-RED is, and if you want to use the contesting dashboard, and how to configure it. Now, one of the stipulations, or a couple stipulations. One, this was a contesting dashboard that I created for all of contests. So I'm going to do, before field day next year, I'm going to do a field day dashboard that's going to be dedicated to field day and winter field day. I just didn't have enough time this year, so I'm going to put that on the calendar and get that done. So
Gotcha.
Be looking for that. But then also a couple of stipulations about it is N1MM and ROMlog and TR4W compatible. It is not N3FJP compatible yet. I'm hopeful that this summer I can write some code, get a hold of the guy that does that programming, and we can have an agreement to pull the data out of the logger. So if you're running N3FJP, which I know is a huge logger for field day, hold off. We'll get you next year and get you for field day or winter field day. But if you're using N1MM during your field day, or your it can be used individually or through a group with networking turned on, it'll work. So so with that being said, let me share my screen. You ready?
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me say a couple things to that.
Yep.
Yeah, when I originally asked Kyle to come on tonight, I was like, hey, why don't you come on? We're going to install it on a Raspberry Pi I have, which is right here. Somebody said in the chat, who can afford a Raspberry Pi? Very good question. Most people have like 17 of them sitting in a box somewhere that you've never opened and used. So there you go. But regardless of that, I was going to install it today, and I was going to use it at field day next weekend, but then Kyle told me it wouldn't work with N3FJP, which is the which is the logging software we've used for like 3 or 4 years. So we got our club owns the full suite of the N3FJP. So we'll bring Kyle back on later, probably sometime in January, to talk about N3FJP, winter field day updates to the script and all that kind of good stuff. So so not to worry on that, but it's he's gonna show us what it looks like from his dashboard tonight.
Do we know if N3FJT uses a database access? Came from Don.
Yeah, it uses an access database, but what these other loggers, whenever like you make a contact or your radio switches frequencies, it sends out UDP packets as broadcasts.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'm grabbing that information that I'm pushing to the Raspberry Pi and doing a bunch of stuff with it. So if N3FJP doesn't do that and send it out through these UDP XML packets, I can't do anything with the data. So that's the stipulation.
A couple of people have said in the chat that the volume is low. I don't know. My volume's set the same way it always is, and on my screen here, it shows okay. Y'all let us know how it is, but it should be okay because you guys are sounding fine to me, and according to my levels here, it should be all the same. But let us know in the chat. Maybe just turn your volume up on your end. I don't know.
Yeah.
Our volume is looking like the same as it always does to me. So hopefully YouTube's not having an issue. I don't know. But okay, go ahead, Kyle. Whenever you're ready.
All right. So you ready for me to share?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go to the Node-RED screen here.
Okay.
So I just want to do a real quick introduction about Node-RED. So Node-RED, it's a flow-based programming tool. We have adopted Node-RED from the IoT and machine-to-machine communication genre, and we've basically forced it into ham radio. And basically anything that has an input or an output, you can get data out of. If it's got an output, you can get data out of it and pull it into Node-RED. So, serial, Ethernet, USB, RS-232, RS-438, all of those protocols, you can pull all of the information out of your ham shack and put it into Node-RED. So just think of all the things that you have connected in your ham shack. We're basically going to build a dashboard to automate all of the things in your ham shack that are connected somehow to a device. Okay. So Node-RED is a flow-based programming tool. It's based on Node.js, which is basically JavaScript, and it runs on anything. It runs on Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi, anything that you've got at your house, this will run on. It's got installers for all of that stuff. And it's basically no programming is necessary to get up and running quickly. I'm not a programmer, but I'll show you what I was able to do with the dashboard. So if I can do it, you guys can do it. Plus there's a lot of pre-canned things that are JavaScript code that you can import for your devices. Let's say you've got a bunch of Elecraft stuff or a bunch of ICOM stuff. People that are way smarter than I am have written code for like the 7300 or the K3 or a KAT 500, and they've put it out on a website, which I'm going to show you, a GitHub or a Groups.io, and you're able to import that into your Node-RED flow. Okay, so it's very, very easy. So what I already talked about this. What can it control? Basically anything. Radios, amplifiers, tuners, rotors, antenna switches, basically anything that you can get input and output out of, it can control. So why use Node-RED? Just think, you can have all of your shack devices and the status of them on a screen versus looking all over the place for your different statuses. Maybe you've got your amp over here and your tuner over here and your antenna switch up there. It'd be nice if you can just look at one location and know the status of all of those devices. So that's what Node-RED can do. Another thing Node-RED can do is it can automate everything in your ham shack. So let's say you see a multiplier in your contesting or you're DXing and you see somebody pop up on 40 meters and you're on 20 meters. Just think of all the things that you have to do in your shack to move your radio from 20 meters to 40 meters. Maybe that's 10 things that you actually have to do, like press a button, turn a knob, tune something, whatever the case may be. Node-RED, you click one button and all of that stuff can be done in the background for you automatically. So you can think if you're contesting at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I've done this where I'm tired, I just want to go to sleep and I tune the radio to 40 meters and the amp is still on 20 meters. And I'm like, why is nobody hearing me? And then somebody taps you on the shoulder. It's like, your amp settings are wrong. I'm just like, So anyway, so it basically just is a visual of automation and statuses of everything in your ham shack. So let's take a look at some of the really cool things that, let me see if I can.
Oh, that looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is some of the dashboard stuff you can do. So you've got the Flex interface down here, and up here is the dashboard. So you've got a Flex Radio group that's just got some general information, a Power Genius, a Tuner Genius, an Antenna Genius, and that is all of the information that basically you need from the front panel or from the Flex. Maybe you just can't get it from the Flex because you want to have it full screen or something like that. You can pull all of that information through the dashboard. Then you've got a rotator and a beam heading. So basically this is an SVG graphic, and you basically just click on where you want your beam or your Yagi or your antenna to point, and it rotates it to that place that you click on this map. which is
Now,
really
Kyle,
cool.
Kyle, is that your software there also, or did somebody
No.
else write that for Flex?
No, this is Dave WO2X, and these are just
Okay.
these are just nodes. And I mean, I could literally load this flow into my system and have this up and running. If I had all of these devices,
Yeah.
I could have this up and running in a matter of like 10 minutes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is interesting to me for the Flex Radio. Obviously, I don't have a power genius or a tuner genius, and but I've got I've got a couple of those other things. So that'd be a fun thing to do, I think. So maybe we'll do that on another stream upcoming later.
So here's some other. I mean, the dashboards don't have to look like this, right? They can look like these are buttons that you can press. These are meters. Here's a bunch of other meters. Here is my dashboard until I redid it, and I'm kind of in the process of redoing my dashboard. Here is another dashboard that's just got, basic information about control, RF power in and out, the rotator, stepper IR. And you don't have to put stuff that's in your shack in Node-RED. So here's some propagation maps that you can display, and it updates every hour. Here's a gray line map that you can put a gray line. Got weather information. You can grab weather info out of it. Here's a flow that I built to aggregate all cluster nodes together and basically put it into one supercluster.
So you got the POTA spots in there. That's
got the
really
POTA
cool.
spots. Yep. I got DX cluster spots. I got CW skimmer spots, county hunters, and my ham alert spots. I've got digital spots. I've got Missouri QSO party spots. So it congregates all of that stuff and puts it into one cluster for me. Okay. And then here's the dashboard that we're actually going to take a look at. Here's the front page for the contesting dashboard. So let me go through real quick. What's a node? So a node is the building block of what you are going to put together, and you're going to string nodes together into flows. You're going to put those flows. That flow is going to get some data, and it's going to output to a dashboard node, and then you're going to place that dashboard node on a dashboard in the configuration that you want. So that's how basically things work here. So let's just go over a basic flow breakdown here real fast, and then we're going to get into what the dashboards, the field day dashboard actually looks like. So here's a typical flow, and it's a short one, but we're going to go through all of these nodes here together. So you start a flow by either injecting a timestamp or some data, and it can be any data just to start the flow. So we're going to start this flow by injecting a timestamp, let's say, and we're going to query a database every minute. So you can go in here and you can configure these nodes to trigger every minute, okay? So then every minute, it's going to come over here to this HTTP request, and it's going to go get some temperature data from a website, let's say. So it's going to come back with that temperature data, and this node right here, let's say it is in Celsius and we want to convert it to Fahrenheit. So we do a conversion node, which is downloadable on the internet, and all of these nodes that do some work on some data, all of this stuff is configurable. Is downloadable on the net. So if you want to do something that you don't want to write a bunch of code for, search for it on the internet in Node-RED, and I bet you anything somebody has wrote a node for it to do all that information. So
that's good info.
Yeah, so this node is a conversion node. So it takes a number in Celsius, and then it outputs that number in Fahrenheit. Okay, so then that number gets pushed to this this switch node, and basically a switch node is a big if then else statement. So it's going to say if that degrees in Fahrenheit is equal to 100, then go ahead and pass it on and go to the next node. If it doesn't equal 100 degrees, it's just going to drop it, and the flow stops, and then it starts back up in a minute, right? So let's say that data equals 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So then it's going to go to this this node, and it's going to change the data to say, oh, I want to put a string in there to say running hot. Okay. Then that string of running hot is going to come out, and it's going to come out to these 3 nodes here. And this is just debug nodes. So you can turn on debug on all these flows.
I was wondering what that message payload. I see it on the far right now, though.
Yeah, this message payload is debug node, so you can actually see what's coming out of all of these nodes. Here is a dashboard node, and it's going to display that string in a table, and that's where you configure that dashboard onto the dashboard screen. And oh, bots! Somebody get the bots.
He must have subscribed to the channel. I forgot to say that. I forgot to say that a minute ago. So everybody who's if people are trying to come into the channel and chat, and you can't chat and you're not subscribed, that's why I turned on subscribers only to try to eliminate the bot.
Oh,
I don't really like doing that. I don't like turning on subscribers only because I want everyone to chat whether you subscribe or not. But apparently it doesn't matter. The bot didn't. So the bot subscribed to me.
Wow.
Waited 5 minutes, and now he's in there anyway. All right. Sorry, Kyle. Go ahead.
All right. So this is a dashboard node, and that's where you configure, a table, and you can place it on the dashboard where you want it. You want it in the upper right-hand corner. You want it in the lower left-hand corner. That's where you can configure those. And then this is just, it's going to output that running hot data on a TCP port on 7300. So this is just a sample flow of how these things work. We're not going to go into that, but where to start? Node-RED.org. That is where you start. So if you have any questions about how do I install this, or you want to join the forums, or you want to get some more information about documentation, they've got a great documentation. Just go to node-red.org and get you started. The other thing that you want to do is, if you're interested, you want to go and join the Groups IO page, or Groups IO group that we've got for Node-RED, and it's only for ham radio. So we've got a Groups IO that's like 1,500 people strong, and all we do is talk about Node-RED for ham radio. So go over there and join that group. That's where all of the flows and all of the files are located at for examples and equipment, K3, Flex, ICOM, Yaesu, Alpha, amplifiers, all of those things, all of that equipment, all of those flows are over there. And it's a really good group. You can go over there and ask questions, and we'll answer them. So.
Somebody asked a question a minute ago, is this just for Flex Radio? Because that was the example Kyle was showing, and no, it's not. Flex is just what Kyle uses, is what I use as well on my main shack radio. But no, this works on anything. The example we're going to show you tonight has nothing to do with Flex Radio at all.
Yeah.
So good question, but just wanted to point that out.
Yep.
Kyle, can you toss me that link in our chat so I can put it into the chat?
Let's see. Yes, hang on. Can I?
Oh, the groups.io link?
Yeah.
No, I can't. Just Frank, Google ham radio groups, or Node-RED ham radio groups IO, and it should come up as like one of the first ones.
Yeah. All right, I'll do some digging. Go for it.
Okay. So this is what we've come to talk about tonight. So now we've talked about Node-RED. Now we're going to talk about the contesting dashboard that I created. So this is a group of websites that run on Raspberry Pi that basically take all of the information from your logging program, and we're going to stick with N1MM because we got to just stick with one and talk about how stuff gets into the dashboard. So you configure N1MM, and whenever you make a contact or move your radio dial or do a bunch of things in Node-RED, it's going to send all of that information over UDP in your network to, and we're going to configure N1MM to do this, over to the Node-RED server. And then Node-RED is going to take all that information and chunk on it and display it in the dashboard. And this is the main screen that you're going to see in your dashboard. So I think that this is probably going to be the screen that you're going to leave up for your field day site. Granted, this is geared towards contesting. This is not geared towards bringing a new ham into your field day site and saying, "Hey, look, we just contacted, Maine on 40 meters." Yeah, that's great, but it doesn't give a lot of context unless somebody is standing there saying, "Oh, these are what these graphs mean, and these are the things that you're looking at." I want to configure the data to make it look like somebody that doesn't know anything about ham radio can come up, take a look at the dashboard, and instantly figure out, oh, these guys are on the radio, and I just heard them say, Missouri, and it just popped up Missouri here. That's what I'm looking at, and I understand what I'm doing. So a lot more a lot more stuff to come here. But if you want to run this, this is what the main screen looks like. So then let's go to the second screen. So there's an op competition, and this might be good for clubs. And whenever you log into N1MM and you put your Control O to change operators, it's going to, every contact that you make as an operator, it's going to send that out, and Node-RED is going to stick that in the database. And then basically it's going to make a competition between all the operators that are working that multi-op, which is basically field day, right? So you can see WT2P CJ is in the lead here. He's got a score of 518. He's got 36 QSOs, 7 multis. He's got a run rate of 1 hour run rate of 37, a 2 hour run rate of 37. He's got 0 busted calls, and I've got some trending data here. So this is a screen that I took from Missouri QSO Party at the beginning of the contest, and basically this just lists all of the operators up to 8 people and puts them in order and makes it a competition between operators within your multi-op if that's how you have the dashboard configured. So little cute little thing. Here's all the radio information. So you can basically, you point all of the radio data that's coming out of N1MM and you point it to Node-RED, and you can see in a glance on where all the radios are at, what frequency they're on, what status they have, if they're searching and pouncing or if they're running, who the operator is, and the run rates for the band and the operator for those radios. And then we got some band stats. So it'll tell you how many QSOs you have made on each band. It'll chart all that stuff. It'll chart all of the QSOs by band for the whole contest. So this is just some information that you can get for the bands. And then we've got a Pi status here that shows you just status of the Pi. If it's got internet access, the CPU temperature, the disk space, the memory used. So just some basic info. There's another screen about RBN stats. So if you don't know what the RBN is, it's the
reverse beacon network.
Reverse beacon network. Thanks you. I was blanking.
That's all right.
Reverse beacon network. So whenever you call CQ on a digital mode or CW, it's there's computers that are listening out there on the RF spectrum, and they basically pinpoint and plot where you're being heard on the bands. So if your contest station, let's say is AA0Z, and you call CQ, it's automatically going to plot on this map where it's being heard for your call sign. And you can configure this to refresh every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, whatever you want. And then here's the configuration screen, and we're going to get into the configuration screen on how to configure it. There's only a couple of things you need to configure for field day to make this work. So, in saying that, the next thing you have to do is, if you decide that you want to configure this, you need to get a Raspberry Pi, because that is the easiest way to do this. Okay, so I have got a Raspberry Pi that I configured, and I put the latest and greatest image, just the stock image, on the Raspberry Pi. Okay, and then I also did all of the updates to get it all up to date. So what you want to do is, I've got a GitHub. Oh, very good, thank you. So if you,
I just shared it.
Yeah, so if you go over to my GitHub, It's not under my call sign because I didn't think that I was going to do anything under my call sign, but it's under my name, Kyle Craig. And if you just search for, if you go into GitHub and you click on that link that's in the chat, or you just search on contesting dashboard, it's going to probably bring you up to this screen. So don't be intimidated by GitHub. I was at first, but then I was just like, oh, I kind of get this. Preston, your question, does it run on something that's not a Raspberry Pi? Yes, you can run this on Mac or Windows. You'll just have to modify your install for the different platforms. So once you get to this screen, you want to click on this install.md. This is basically just your markdown file, which is basically just a big text file. This is, if you basically read this from start to finish, you're going to figure out real quick on how to install Node-RED and get the dashboard up and running. I have literally tried to think of everything that I could and do a step-by-step process to get this up and running for you. So what we're going to do is, I've already done the sudo app update and full upgrade on my Node-RED, my Raspberry Pi. Okay, and I'm just puttied into my Raspberry Pi. You can plug it into a TV and get a keyboard, mouse, and do this through that. It's not doesn't matter. You just need to get into the Pi. You probably need to put a static IP address on your Pi. If you don't know how to do that, just Google that or look at some YouTube videos. I would probably put a static IP on this so you can get into it over and over. Also, the static IP is going to help whenever we start pushing information from N1MM to the Raspberry Pi. So you want that to be a IP address that is on your network and is static, so you don't have to redo N1MM after your Pi reboots and it gets a new IP address. Probably not, but we're just going to leave it at that. So first thing we want to do is we want to install Node-RED. So the nice thing about GitHub is you can literally take these command lines and you can copy them and paste them into your putty command. So I'm going to say, do you really want to do this? Yes. Would you like to install the Pi specific node? Sure. Why not? So it's going to go through here and hopefully it's going to install, and we're installing Node-RED right now. It's one script, one bash script to rule them all, and it's going to install Node-RED as we talk here.
How long does that take?
I think it's going to take a minute.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not long. I mean,
Good.
installing Node.js is probably the hardest part, and I am installing this on a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, I believe.
Okay.
You can run this on literally a Pi Zero, as long as it's going to take a while, and it's going to chunk on it for a while, but I am running Node-RED on a Pi Zero, a wireless Pi Zero, and it runs fine.
I know a couple people in the chat here are also asking, does it have to be Pi software that it runs on?
I don't know. I think that people have installed it on Ubuntu. Anything that's Debian based, I think you'll be safe. If you get outside of Debian and get into like some weird stuff like Diet Pi and this and that, I don't know.
Diet Pi. Yeah. They're Ham Radio Hobo's asking about Orange Pi and Banana Pi, and that looks like a joke question, but those are actually.
Oh no, that's a legitimate question.
No, I know.
Don
I know.
N5 SKT says he runs it on his Dell Linux servers at the office, and several other people said they have been able to run it on several different other flavors of Linux. I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
So Don says it runs on CentOS.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that one.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that it probably, whenever you install Node-RED, it's probably going to, this script is smart enough to go out there and be like, oh, you don't have this dependency and you don't have that dependency. You
Right.
need to install this and that. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's going a little bit slower, I think, probably because I'm streaming here and it probably is taking a while to download.
Right. That's fine.
So you built Node-RED off Node.js?
Well, that is the underlying development library.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you go through here, this install MD,
Mm-hmm.
this will take care of all of the things that that you need to run to get this up and running. All right, so it's done. So now what we need to do is we need to start the Node-RED service. And this IP, let's do an ifconfig. Ifconfig is basically an IP config in Windows. So it's going to tell me that my IP address is 192.168.1.142. Okay. And I'm running off of the wireless because I didn't want to plug this in. Okay. So I'm going to go in here, and my next thing that I want to do here, I'm down here on my screen if you can see my cursor here. So I'm going to do a sudo systemctl, and I'm going to start Node-RED service. All right. So it should be up and running. So if I bring this over here and I go into, and I forgot to mention, this is all web-based stuff, right? This is not like you have to install a piece of software on your Windows machine or your Linux machine. All of this stuff, once you install Node-RED, it is all web-based. So if you got a web browser, you can get into this. So 192.168.1.142, and then the programming interface is at port 1880, and there it is. Welcome to Node-RED. So
cool.
We're going to go through and we're going to do this tutorial real quick. Actually, we're going to skip this because we don't care. You can do the tutorial later. So this is the programming interface to Node-RED. You can see it already gave me some nodes over here in my palette, and I'm able to drag those nodes over and bring them together. Let's do a link call here, and I'm able to take those nodes and link them together. One of the things that you'll need to know is after you import anything, or like we're going to import a project, you want to come over here and hit the deploy button. The deploy button will basically, that's your compile button. So after you make any changes, you want to come over here and hit your deploy button, right? So I'm going to delete all of this stuff. And so this is the interface that you program in. And then, so there's some more things that we need to do. Now that we got Node-RED up and running, we got to do some more stuff. So let's go back to the GitHub. If I can find the GitHub. Here it is. All right. So now we need to install Git. We're over here, and we're going to enable projects in Node-RED. So that allows us to bring all of the stuff in my GitHub into Node-RED. So we're going to do a sudo app get install Git, and it's going to come through here, and it's going to, yes, I want to continue, and it's going to install Git. And that's going to be key to pulling over all of the information from my GitHub. All right, we got some questions in here while we wait for that to install.
Yes, I do. Give me 1 second. It's hiding behind the screen.
Yeah.
First question from Cape Cod. Does it work with FT8?
There are so yes. There are FT8 nodes that you can install from the internet that decode FT8 and might give you a little bit of an advantage in the FT8 world.
That was the second part I was just about to bring up. And then if your answer was yes, he wants to know, does it work with the FT8 off?
I saw that question.
Yes, you can pull the information out of the WSJT node that might help you with the FT8 off. Yes. Correct.
Sweet.
All right. Next question here is from Michael. Kilo Delta 8 Golf India Juliet. I was operating this weekend, so I can read call signs fairly fast right now. Can this operate simultaneously using a WSJTX with grid tracker, letting that log to N3JP or log for OM?
Man, that's a mouthful. I don't know what the question is.
Here, let me just paste it in the chat, and you will see it there.
Okay.
There it is. It's just right in our Zoom chat.
Question: can you operate simultaneously while running WSJT and grid tracker and letting that log to and so one of the things that you can do in Node-RED is whenever you get a contact in WSJT, you can send it to Node-RED, and then Node-RED can format it and send it anywhere you want. So I know that N1MM or WSJT already has that ability, to send contacts to other loggers. If you've got a logger that accepts UDP or connections in and a program doesn't work with it, you can program Node-RED to format that QSO, that logged QSO, and send it to any program that you want. I hope that answers it. I'm not really sure. Okay.
Hopefully that got it. We're back?
Yeah, we're back.
All
okay.
Right, take it away.
So the next thing we're going to do is we got to enable projects in Node-RED in order for us to get information out of GitHub into Node-RED. So I'm just copying and pasting some things here. So we want to modify our settings.js file. So I copied and pasted that command, and I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom. And this is just a file in your home directory, in your Node-RED directory. And I think by default, they have enabled projects, editor theme, palettes. Oh, they've put some new stuff in here. I'm learning projects. All right. Here's where the rubber meets the road. This enabled projects is false. You want to come over here and you want to type in true. Okay. And then after you modify that, you want to exit, which is Control X. You save modified buffer. You want to say yes. File to write, which is down here, if you can see that. So I'm going to write it back to home pi node-red settings.js. Okay, that file is done. Now, in order for Node-RED to read that file and reread that new configuration, you want to come in here and you want to restart Node-RED. So I want to do a sudo systemctl restart node-red.service. And that command is right here after you save the file that we just modified. So now, if we go back into our Node-RED server on the web, so 192.168.1.142 or whatever your IP address is of your Node-RED server, :1880, and I do a refresh of this, it should, yes, projects have been enabled. Now you're going to get this screen that says, hey, do you want to create a project or do you want to clone a repository? Which we are going to go back to our instructions on the GitHub and continue down on the instructions here. So one of the things that this program does is it requires SQLite. So we need to install SQLite, and don't be afraid of SQLite. It's to configure it, it's very easy. So let's do a sudo apt-get install SQLite 3, and we're going to let that install. All right, time for questions again. What do we got?
If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and I will read them out when we get a chance.
Jody's got one here. Did you see that?
Jody? Yeah, I was just about to pull it. Is Node-RED set for audio start on reboot, or does it get after it gets installed, or do you have to manually auto start it?
Now, Jody, whenever after we installed Node-RED, this sudo systemctl start node-red.service, that's what starts, and I'm sorry, and we have to we didn't do another command, so we need to do sudo systemctl enable node-red.service. So that is going to start Node-RED on restart. So good question, and we forgot to do that command. Okay, so now SQLite is installed on the back end. So now what we need to do is we need to create a database. You only have to do this once. Bear with me here. I know it's we're giving you a lot of information, but it's all in the install document. You do this word by word, and it'll be fine.
It'll be on Team Replay too, so watch this
Right.
video as many times as you want.
So we are going to create a new database called QSOS. Okay, so I'm going to type in SQLite 3 QSOS, and I'm going to hit enter. It's going to drop you into the database. Okay, named QSOS, and this is what people get hung up on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take all of this create table if not exist QSOS. We're going to take all of this information that we're copying all the way down to the create index call IDX on spots, and we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste that all of that into the SQL command prompt that were in the QSOS database to create all of the tables that we need for this dashboard to work. So so now I just created all of that schema database information, and we can verify that all that information was configured by typing .schema, and yep, all of that information is now it took it. So now we're going to do a .exit, and we're done. Our database is configured. We don't have to do anything else for the database. Okay, we are almost there. Almost there. So now what you want to do is you want to bring in N1MM. So here's my N1MM screen, and if you're not familiar with N1MM, this is the main window that you enter in QSOS to for oh yeah, Scott says make sure your shell program allows copy and paste. You're right. Correct.
Right.
So this is the main window for N1MM. There's a bunch of pull downs here. We want to come down here to config, and we want to choose the first one, configure ports, mode control, WinKey, etc. Okay. Once we do that, and where did that window go? Oh no, now I need to go find the window.
Looks like you yeah, that's a screenshot down below. I thought that was it down below, but
yeah. Oh no, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Let me
How many screens do you have?
Well, I got a ton here. I got 3. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I found it. Nobody called the police yet.
There you go.
I got
there
it.
There it is.
Wait, no APB yet. All right. All right. So
right
this
there.
is your configure screen in N1MM. What we're going to do is we're going to come over here to this broadcast data, and it's going to have this application info, radio, contacts, score. We're going to check the box on radio, contacts, and score. And then we're going to come over here, and we're going to enter in all of the data that we need per the install document. And remember your IP address for your Raspberry Pi. So mine was 192.168.1.142. So I'm going to come in here, and the radio data is going to go on :12060. The contacts is going to go on the IP address :12061. The score is going to go on the IP address :12062. So if I come back here to N1MM, so I'm going to put a space. See how these are there's a space between the IP addresses? You're already going to have 127.0.0.1. Put a space, and I'm going to add it over here to this next one. So I'm going to do 192.168.1.142 : and I'm on the radio entry. So radio is port 12060. Then I'm going to come down here to contacts, and I'm going to put 192.168.1.142 : contacts is 12061, and score 192.168.1.142 : and 16062. And your configuration on N1MM should look something like this. And then I'm going to hit OK.
Does this work with IPv6? That's really an M1MM question more than anything, I think.
Well, yeah, no, you can't put. I don't think they've got it configured for IP6.
I don't think they do either, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yep.
Okay, so it was a question in the chat. Okay, good deal.
Okay, so now N1MM is configured. We don't have to do anything else with N1MM except for test it. So now what we need to do is we need to download the actual files for the dashboard into N1MM. So let's go back to N1MM, and we've got this this dashboard thing. So we're going to come in here and we're going to clone repository. Let me make sure that I've got. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to go back here, and we're going to go not right now. If you come over to the hamburger menu in the upper right hand corner, and you go to projects and you go to new, we're going to clone repository. Oh, it's going to make me just put in some dummy stuff. So AA0Z at youremail.com, or my username. We're just going to AA0Z, and then you can just put a dummy email address in here, because that's not going to mail.com. Okay, so they've changed this on a little bit, so I need to update my documentation. Anyway, the gist of it is the same. So what you need is the GitHub URL to import this into N1MM. So what we're going to do is, in this project name, we're going to call it. Let's call it Field Day, and Field Day dashboard. No BOARD. No spaces, because that's going to put a directory on your Raspberry Pi. So now in this Git repository URL, you're going to come over to the GitHub, and let's clone this tab. How do I clone? Duplicate. So let's go and get the GitHub. So if you come over here to code and you click on HTTPS, this is where you can copy the GitHub URL. Okay, just copy that. So I come over here to code, clicked on HTTPS, copied this link here, and now we're going to paste it into this GitHub URL field. You don't have to type in a username or a password. Just come down here and type in clone project. And it's going to load it all in. Okay. So now we've got some dependencies that we need to resolve. I know this seems like a lot, but we're getting there. Again, all of this stuff is in the install document. So now we need to install all of these things into our dependencies. This is easy. So what we need to do is, let's close this. If you come up here to the hamburger menu and you go down to Manage Palette, this is going to bring up all of those nodes from the internet that we can install. So that guy that asked about the WSJT, if I type in WSJT in here, there's the node WSJT, and he can install it right from this screen. Okay. So now we're going to need to install some different.
For real fast, what's a palette?
This is your palette is all of these nodes over here.
Okay.
Good question. Good question.
I was just to me, I was like, I don't understand what you mean by palette.
Yeah, it's all the nodes over here that you can put into the workspace. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I kind of split my screen here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here to the hamburger menu and manage palette and install, and I'm just gonna go down the list here, and I'm going to install these. So I know that I need dashboard. That's the main one, and you only have to do this once. So we're going to install that one. Install Hourglass, Contrib Hourglass. That one's done. Install message speed. Did I use message speed? I guess I did. You know, a lot of these things I've done so long ago that I forgot. Play audio.
That's why we document them and then have someone come behind us and redocument it.
Yeah, ping. And okay, it's already installed. So a lot of these have already been installed. Already in smooth. Oh, that's already installed. Okay. SQLite. So this one's going to take a bit. Looks like it's the second one down here. So install UI table. Yep, I'm going to install that. Okay. World map. This is a big one. That displays all the map stuff. We did dashboard string. Looks like it's the second one down here. UI LED. Install unit converter. Install and moment. Install. All right. We're almost done. We're almost done. Gonna wait for all of that to install. I know this seems like a lot, but you know, once you go through the instructions and you do this once, you don't have to do it again.
Right.
Can you save off or back up your current palettes, like under a user or something? If something happens, just install the base and then reinstall what you had before.
Yeah, all of that information is under the .node-red directory in your home directory. So it puts all of that stuff. I'll show you whenever a SQLite is installing here. If I do an ls here, ls.lsh, you see that it's a hidden file because it has a .node-red, but all of your configuration on Node-RED is stored under this Node-RED. So if I go a cd.node node-red, and I do an ls, you can see that there's a bunch of different directories here. And it backs up, your flows, it backs up your library, your projects. And if I cd into projects, you can see that field day dashboard, the one that we just created, is now is a directory under projects.
Nice.
Yep. So if you want to back up all of your Node-RED stuff, that is where you want to basically save off. And where is my? There it is. All right. Any more questions while we're waiting for the SQLite node to
I got
install?
one from Don. And to pivot a little bit from Jason's comment before, you can script anything. Don, Smoking Signals RF asks,
Smoking signals.
Yes, smoke signals. Will Node-RED automatically reorder cigars in my humidor when they get low?
You can. You could totally do that.
Yeah, you could have Node-RED say, "Okay, Google, order cigars."
What? No, even better, Don. Why don't you? So you can get temperature sensors to tell you what the temperature is, like every single second of the day, in your humidor.
Temperature or humidity?
Yeah, both.
Mm-hmm. So now that let's pivot on that a little bit while this is still installing. Is Node-RED originally written for just scripting and automating things in general? Were you just taking it and added applications and palettes for ham radio stuff?
Yeah. So the main thing Node-RED was written for was IoT devices.
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah.
Stop sharing your screen for just a minute.
Yeah. Stop share. There we go.
There we go. Somebody's Charlie's in the chat asking about Pixie.
I was about to say that was the next one up on my list.
Hang on.
You got the Pixie cam up and going?
Hang on. Oh, you guys are gonna love this. Oh, look at this. Look at this.
Oh.
Sleeping on his back.
Zonked out.
Yeah.
Zonked out.
My Labrador does that. She sleeps on her back.
So our live stream just spiked with 20,000 more subscribers.
Yeah, right. Right.
All right, so I'm still waiting for this to install, but
okay.
Basically, after this, we're done. We're done. Okay. It's configured. We have to come in and basically configure the dashboard to say, hey, we're running an ARRL contest, and say that it's looking for whenever I log a contact, whenever I send it a ARRL or a RAC section, it needs to know, oh, you're running a section versus like a grid square or a region, because all of that information that comes over from N1MM is defined individually. And yeah, so
does it do the WPX?
Yeah, so
worked all prefixes. That's cool. That's pretty granular. Worked all prefixes. That's pretty specific. So it's cool if it'll do that. Get that detailed.
Yeah. So you just tell it basically what you're sending it as an exchange, and it does all the rest in the background.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. I do have some other field day questions, but I'm going to try to save that if we have time for field day. But continue on.
Yeah. So we're still waiting for. Let's see.
You can go back to screen share whenever you're ready.
Okay. So I'm waiting for it to come on. Yeah, I'm waiting for it to install here. So whenever you do install this for the first time, what you probably need to do is reboot after you get it all installed. Reboot your Pi, and just kind of start all over. Not a start all over with the install, but kind of just flush everything out. And I will show you. And this is a bug. I will share my screen here. This is what my screen looks like right now. It's a mess because Node-RED kind of freaks out and doesn't know what to do. So you can see that it has some of the stuff, but some of the stuff that it doesn't know what to do. So so we are waiting for the SQLite node to install. But while we do that, actually, I've got this set up on another Pi. So we are going to close out of this, and we're going to get into another Pi here.
The one you have running.
Yeah, the one that I have running, so we don't have to wait anymore. So here is the another key. So let's go back to our instructions here. General configuration. This is a very important section here. The main workspace of the palette is at the Raspberry Pi IP address :1880. So we remember that. That was where our workspace looked like, which it looks like this, right? Well, the dashboard is, there's a couple of ways that you can get to the actual dashboard. You can get to the dashboard by going to the IP address of your Pi, 192.168.1, and it'd be 142, but I've got another Pi running here, so this one is running at .30:1880/UI, okay? And that is the dashboard interface.
So Charlie wants to know if do you network Node-RED with TCP/IP, Ethernet, UDP, or OSI?
Ethernet.
Ethernet. Okay.
But all of the devices you can get, you can plug devices into your Pi through the GPIO pins, and you can interface through the GPIO pins. You can get a serial to USB converter. You can get a serial to Ethernet converter. So basically, if you can get it into the Pi somehow by either the GPIO, the USB, or Ethernet, you can talk to it.
What's OSI?
OSI is the OSI model. That's what TCP/IP is built upon.
Okay.
It's old school.
So we've configured N1MM, and we've configured Node-RED, and we've configured the dashboard. So this is the front interface to the dashboard. Okay, so I have created a new database, and I've configured N1MM for field day. Okay, I don't have a radio hooked up, but you can, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can come in here to the entry window and choose a frequency. So let's go to 7200. And you noticed whenever I did that, my radio data down here. So let's take a look at this. First, let's take a look at this front panel here. And this is probably the panel that you're going to be looking at the most. Over here on the left-hand side is last QSO information. It's got a countdown on when the last QSO while you were running was logged. The last QSO on search and pounce was logged. The last multiplier, and then the top mults that an op has. So it's me. And then you've got the map in here. So the map maps all of the QSOs whenever you are logging them. So you have to subscribe to QRZ. There's a couple of free services out there, but I'll show you that in a minute. Up here's the current QSO that was just logged. So I was testing this, and I just logged myself on 6 meters. And then down here at the bottom is the radio info. It doesn't show all the radios, but it does show radio 1 and radio 2. So I just changed my radio to 7200, and you can see the frequency down there. So I'm going to change it to 285. And when I do that, the frequency changes.
I did not know you could do that with M1MM.
Yeah. Yep.
I tell you what, I caught a presentation for M1MM at HamCom, our North Texas Ham Fest that we used to have. This no longer there, like 6 or 7 years ago. And boy, there is a lot of, and it was only an hour presentation. He said there's a lot more this does that I won't do. And I've asked Tom M1MM to come onto the channel, and he's too busy. But I might keep on him to see if we can get an interview with him one day. But this is
Yep.
a very powerful program. Very, very cool program.
Yeah. So you can change. So I just moved to CW and SSB. So it changed the mode down there. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do in N1MM. All right. So then over here in the total or the contest stats is basically your running score for the contest.
Mhm.
That is the score that you probably want to pay attention to. You've got a current QSO total rate, which is Qs per hour. You want that high. A run rate is good. And then you've got top op score. So it looks like I've got the top score out of all of the operators. And then here is some band stats. So QSOs by band, QSO rate per hour, QSO rate. This is a total QSO rate. This is a QSO rate by band. So it's going to show all the bands here and how people are doing or what the rate is for the different bands. Here it's going to show you the total QSO rates by operator. It's just going to show you the run rate. Sorry. And then I had to put something down here. You're probably never going to use this, but this is the spots rate. So whenever you hook this up to a cluster, it shows you how many spots are coming in from a cluster, so you can see what bands are hot.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And up here on the ribbon bar this is a lightning indicator. So whenever you put in your latitude and longitude, it's going to tell you how far away the lightning is. And you can basically, the default is 10 kilometers or closer. So if there's lightning 10 kilometers or closer to your QTH, this is going to light up red. So you're going to know if a storm is being spotted or is active. So then this is, I do have online scoreboard integration configured in here. So you basically can enter call signs in up here for the scoreboard, and you can chase your friends. So that's something you can do. Here is SFI, A index, and K index information, and then you've got the time up here. After you get done configuring N1MM and installing all your nodes and going through the install document, you want to click on the hamburger menu, and you want to come down here to configuration and resets. Okay, and it's going to bring up this screen. This is where you can configure the dashboard for the contest. There are only a few things that you need to configure. One of the things that you need to configure is your contest call sign. So come down here, and I'm going to type in AA0Z, and I'm going to hit submit. And then contest category, if you are a multi-op and you're at a club, you want to keep this multi-op. If you're just sitting at home and it's just you, then you can choose SO2R or SO1V. So let's keep that. Let's choose SO2R because it'll change some things in the front panel. The other thing that you need to configure is the contest type. So here are, Jason, you asked about grids or prefixes or all of that stuff. So this is where you choose what your exchange is. So for field day, we want to change it to say ARRL/ARAC sections, because that's what we're exchanging, right?
Right.
So then that is all configured, and then you probably want to come over here and configure your computer. So you want to figure out what your computer name is for that are hooked up to your different stations. So mine is AA0Z stream, STREAM, and then you submit that. So it's going to tell you entered your computer name. Okay. Then let's see, what else do you want to configure? Oh, here's where you configure your longitude and latitude, and that's going to show you your grid lines on your map. So I entered in my longitude and latitude. Okay, and you can do some map configuration here. Here is your call sign lookup engine. HamDB is free. HamQTH is free. QRZ is a paid subscription. So if you do choose, You have to have an account for HamQTH, but it is free.
Mm.
QRZ is a paid subscription. So if you do choose HamQTH, make sure you come in here and put your HamQTH username and password and hit the submit button. Okay. And that is about it that you really need to configure. All of this other stuff you can come in and configure as you want and play around with it. But anyway, so now let's take a look at what this thing looks like whenever you make a contact. So I'm going to go back up to the dashboard, which is the main dashboard that we had. And you can see it put a house, and I just put it on the arch here. And you can see
Put it
that
on the arch.
Yeah. So let me go in and configure my let me pull this over here first real quick, and I'm going to configure my QRZ. I don't think that I configured it here, so let me type in my submit. Make sure that I've got it. Okay, here we go. So let me bring this back over here. Okay, so if I come over here to my dashboard, and then I bring in my N1MM, so the contest is starting, right? So I'm going to type in KC5HWB, year 1A, and year what, North Texas?
Yes.
All right. Oh, maybe I didn't.
Oops.
Yeah. Let me. So actually, let me. Oh, you know what? I think it's my.
Wrong username, password.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it said it took it. Oh, because you got to choose QRZ.com as your lookup database if you're going to use it.
Of course.
Submit. All right, now it's accepted. All right. Sorry, guys. Let me bring this back over. All right, so let's go in and go to the dashboard. So now I'm going to log Jason again. KC5HWB 1A and North Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So there he is. See how it drew that line down to North Texas?
Nice.
So people put your call signs in the chat, and we'll enter them in, and we're going to go rapid fire here. So
we're gonna see where everybody is now.
To EXE1A, and so type in your call sign and a class and a section that you're in.
Right. Mostly
KG5H or KG5AHJ 1A.
KJ5
KG5 AHJ 1A in North Texas.
North Texas, NTX. Same thing.
There you go. Let's go to
that should show up over Jason's.
N5SKT. Let's do 3.
Put your ARRL section if you're going to type your call sign, guys.
Let's do South Texas. So you can see that I'm logging these QSOs. I'm under search and pounce, and it's bringing up search and pounce, and it's giving the exchange of South Texas and then the distance away from my QTH. All right, here we go. So
KB5 PBM 2A South Texas.
PBM 2A South Texas. Okay.
Everyone should be a 2A section. Let that sink in for a second. N6 EF 1 Echo Sierra Victor.
N6 EF
1 Echo.
1 Echo
Sierra Victor.
Sierra Victor. Okay.
W4 Pot.
Okay.
As in I smoke. 1 Delta, North Florida.
Okay.
Let's see. W7SU, 1 Alpha, Utah.
Got it.
K2 DCD, 1 Alpha, South New Jersey.
Got it.
Let's see. I'm looking for some that's different sections of what we had. Oh, here you go. November 4 Echo Echo, 2 Alpha, South Carolina.
Okay.
Must be your club call, Steve. W0 ARC 2 Alpha, Iowa. So IA, yeah.
Got it.
That looks pretty cool. I mean, that's a good representation on the screen there, I think.
Yeah, so you can see that I changed to 20 meters, and it's coming across. So it's kind of a bad example because field day doesn't have multipliers, right? So if this was a
Right.
multiplier, this would show up in red, and it would it actually would announce that it's a multiplier.
K7K 4 Alpha, Arizona.
K7
K7K, yeah.
4 Alpha, Arizona.
Yeah. That's Charlie's club call, I assume.
Oh.
Or special event call.
So K7K.
It didn't like that one.
It says that it's over here in Alaska.
All right, Charlie, you can't use K7K. Can't use K7K. It's a 1x1, yeah. There's something weird in the code if it won't accept a 1x1.
Right.
Amateur radio on the air asks, what is a class?
A class is defined as the number is how many stations you have. So if you have 4 radios set up, then you're going to be 4. And then Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo is whether you're out in the field, whether you're at home in an EOC and a club, operating as a club. Alpha is a club. So we usually operate as either 3 or 4 Alpha. So we have either 3 or 4 radios on the air, and we're an Alpha station because we're a club. If you're at home, I think it's Foxtrot, if I'm not mistaken. But your class is the number is the number of radios you have, and the letter is where you what type of environment you're operating from.
Awesome.
So I just been entering some.
Yeah, you got
so we're up to 17 0 mults because we don't have mults in field day. Current QSO rate is 16 per hour, and you can see the furthest QSO. Since I put it in single op, right, is 8,840 miles, and 16. There's that calculation's not gonna be right because there's no multis. So, but anyway, that's what I'm gonna fix on my field day dashboard next year, and we'll have it also up and running for winter field day. But you can see that whenever you've got a ton of radios and computers out there, and they're all sitting with their backs to everyone, and they're logging QSOs, and a new ham comes in, and you've got this at your club, and they're like, what are you doing? And you can show as these, the current QSO comes up and gets mapped on the map, you can say, hey, we just talked to Saskatchewan at VE5 SAR on 20 meters. And, we just talked to Shane, KD9 NJJ on 20 meters. And this is where he's located at. And you can scroll in and say, oh, he's right there, So
put in Mike Quebec 7, Charlie Papa Tango.
Charlie Papa Tango, okay.
1 Foxtrot DX. So what does it do with a DX call sign? That's just what I want to see.
Let's see. I didn't find
DX. Yeah, DX is not a section.
Oh, I misspelled it. That's why it didn't show up. So let's go back. Mike Quebec 7, Charlie Papa Tango 1F DX. Yeah, it should map it. Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Okay. Okay, good. So it is pulling from the database about via his call sign.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Good.
Over there in Manchester, beside Liverpool. Manchester versus Liverpool.
All of you Manchester.
Oh, my great poupon. My great.
Hey, buddy, you're welcome to get on your channel and talk about weird Texas accents. It's not going to offend us at all.
So that is the dashboard. I know that is a ton of information, but if you just go slow, and I rushed through it because I wanted to get through it.
Sure.
But if you go to the install document and go through that, if you have any questions, let me know. But this is the contest dashboard. It's made for contests. You can use it for field day. More info is coming. So,
cool. Okay, go ahead and unshare your screen then.
A quick question from Ranting Raving. Is it really field day if you're not in the field?
They changed that 2 years ago. It didn't used to be allowable at home. Well, okay, so back up a second
Well,
because
it was
ranching
allowable at home. They
it is
changed
now.
it.
They changed it because of COVID.
Operating a club at different locations from a home was changed, but it was
That's
always allowable at home.
no, it wasn't.
Oh.
No, it wasn't. No, it was supposed to be field day. So you're either in a field or you're at your club, basically. I think they changed that for the home thing. They changed for
COVID.
But it was home from working as a club in separate locations.
Well, that was part of it also.
Okay.
That was part of it also.
Yeah, you could work from home. It was a one. Is it Delta?
I think it's Delta.
Yeah,
yes,
Delta.
Yeah.
Using inside and power mains. But yes,
right.
But one Delta stations could not contact other one Delta stations.
Right, correct. That's what it was. That's what I'm thinking of. If you were a one Delta and you heard another one Delta on the air, you could contact them, but you get 0 points for it. So yes, that's what it was. So they manipulated that a little bit for COVID because people couldn't, because all the EOCs were closed, all the clubhouses were closed and everything. So
and I think we're better for it. Field day to me, the point of the field day to me is just getting on the air. It doesn't matter how you do it. Do it from home, do it from a club. I think a club is preferable because you're getting hands on to other different radios and it's fun.
I think field day needs to be in the field.
Well, it's emphasized in the field, but if you don't have time or it's just get on the air like anything else in this hobby. Just get on the air and have fun.
There's plenty of contests where it's just get on the air. Field day is supposed to. This is just my opinion. They don't care what I have to say. ARRL runs it. They don't care what I have to say. But field day should be in the field. That's why it's field. The purpose of field day is to do contacts, is to make contacts in a situation similar to Hurricane Katrina or 9/11 or Hurricane Harvey down here in Texas a few years back, something like that. You go out into a field, you set up using nothing but what you brought with you and make contacts in and out of the air. That was the original intent of field day, or one of the original intents of field day. So to me, it's the clubs and the groups that operate in a field like we do, and that's why I always went with Hearst, W5HRC. They always operate in a field. That's why I like doing it with them. That's real field day. Now, yeah, you can operate from home. You can operate from an EOC, from an air-conditioned environment, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I just always thought that field day should be in the field. And if you don't live in Texas, if you live anywhere basically north of Oklahoma City, and you're complaining about the heat, shut up. I don't care what you have to say.
I agree with that.
But it's always a good day. That's just I have fun at field day. I have fun at winter field day because we are going into the field running on alternative power. I have a lot of fun.
I am going to be a dissenting opinion. Just get on the air, make some contacts. There's
a lot of that too. It's
a good weekend to practice good radio etiquette and also how to operate with stations literally right on the sides of your bands.
Okay.
So there it is. For more information about field day, following our stream, Rhea stream is going to be a field day guide. So for more information on what's field day, how to best to do it, and just general knowledge about field day, go and watch that stream.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, and that stream's going to start in about 2 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and shut this down. Kyle, that was an excellent presentation. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Several people in the chat said it was over their heads, but hey, you know what? Welcome to Ham Radio, guys. It's all about challenging yourself. That was over my head. Don't get me wrong. A lot of that was over I understand Linux, but a lot of that setup stuff was over my head. But it's all about challenging yourself and trying something new. So the documentation that Kyle shared, the links that he shared, it's very, very step by step. Just go read it and follow it. You'll be able to do it. But it's very good. Kyle, we're going to get you back on when you make some updates to it, when you interface it to N3FJP. One question I did want to ask, somebody asked in the very beginning, if they could use hammers for field day. And yeah, you can use hammers for field day. He has a template for it. I don't think hammers networks right now to other versions. He's working on that.
It's a single use case.
Single computer. So if you're at home, you could use hammers. But what about Kyle? Are you going to try to do something with this dashboard and hammers output, or what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a good thought. Maybe I'll contact Jared and see if we can work something out.
That'd be an easy contact. I'm sure he'd be for it. So
yeah.
Good deal. All right, guys. 73 to all. Thank you for joining tonight. Check the give me like an hour, and I'll have all the links put in the description. You can go out to Kyle's GitHub, which is in that's in the description right now, and you can go check out all this stuff.
And also, I'm
Go
gonna shoot a video probably next week on all of this stuff on my YouTube channel. So if you want to go out and subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'm gonna have how to set up a contesting dashboard. I'm not gonna call it Field Day, but I'm gonna say how do I set up a contesting dashboard, and you can go and take a look at that too.
Awesome. That's great. All right. Well, thanks again. That was a great presentation. Very well put together. Very articulate, and it was. I'm glad I brought you on tonight, Kyle.
Thanks.
Because you did a great job.
Thanks.
So 73, everybody, go catch Rhea's stream. Frank will share it in the chat again right now, and we will see you tomorrow night for Monday Night Ham Radio.